How can a staffing gap in one Australian building delay a plane sitting in Auckland? It happens more often than most travellers realise. In August 2026, Sydney Airport delayed more than 150 flights. That happened across 2 days. The cause was not weather. No aircraft was broken. There were simply not enough air traffic controllers rostered on. The reason this reaches New Zealand comes down to one fact. An air traffic controller is not a general worker who can cover any desk. A controller is licensed for a specific position over a specific piece of sky. That is why a shortage cannot be solved on the day it appears. Start with what a controller actually holds. Basic training takes months in a classroom and a simulator. After that comes a long period of supervised work at one location. Only then does a controller become endorsed for that tower or that airspace. The endorsement is the valuable thing, and it does not travel. A controller rated for one city cannot simply drive to another city and sit down. So when a roster comes up short, borrowing is not available. Managers cannot telephone another airport and ask for 2 spare people by lunchtime. There is exactly one lever left, and it is a blunt one. Reduce the number of aircraft in that piece of sky. To see why, consider what the job protects. In radar-controlled airspace, aircraft are commonly kept about 5 nautical miles apart. Vertically, the usual gap is 1,000 feet. Those distances are not negotiable when a position is short of staff. The airspace does not shrink. The number of people watching it does. Now watch where the delay physically happens. Controllers cannot safely hold many aircraft circling above a busy airport. Fuel, noise, and separation all argue against it, so the system pushes the delay backwards onto the ground before departure. Your aircraft waits at the gate in Auckland because of a limit set over Sydney. The delay you experience is not the failure. The delay is the safety rule working in the only place with room for it. This has happened more than once. Earlier in 2026, the same cause cancelled around 60 flights. Between 150 and 200 more were delayed in that episode. The airline industry group for both countries has pressed the Australian provider on staffing. Airlines cannot fix it themselves, and that is the frustration. An airline can lease an aircraft in weeks. It can hire cabin crew in months. It cannot manufacture a controller endorsed for Sydney approach. That capacity is built years in advance, or it is not there. Now for the part of the story that surprises people. Some of Australia's future controllers are trained in Christchurch. Airways New Zealand runs this country's air navigation service. Its commercial arm also runs a training academy, and it sells that training internationally. Australia's provider signed a training contract with it in late 2023. The first group of Australian trainees graduated in August 2024. Further groups followed, arriving through 2025 and 2026. So a small country at the bottom of the world exports air traffic controllers. That is a genuine specialist industry, and geography created it. New Zealand manages an enormous area of oceanic airspace. It does so with relatively few aircraft inside it. Building deep expertise in a small system turned out to be sellable. The same fact explains why New Zealand feels Australian staffing problems so directly. Almost every long journey out of this country connects through an Australian airport. Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane are the doorways to much of the world. A New Zealand traveller can be delayed by a roster written in another country. That is what dependence on a hub looks like in daily life. It is invisible until the day it is not. There is one more layer worth knowing about. Controller shortages are not unique to Australia. Many countries entered the pandemic years with training pipelines that then slowed. Air traffic recovered faster than the workforce did. The result was a global gap between demand and endorsed staff. It is still closing. So how should you read a delay notice like this one? Not as carelessness, and not as a company saving money on your afternoon. Read it as a workforce number, decided years earlier, arriving on your itinerary today. That is the honest judgment about this kind of disruption. An airline is being blamed for something it does not control. A public agency is being blamed for a decision made several training cycles ago. Both of those things can be true at once. The lesson is uncomfortable for anyone who runs essential infrastructure. Some resources can be bought quickly. Some can only be grown slowly. Aircraft, terminals, and software belong to the first group. Licensed people belong to the second. A country that forgets the difference will keep buying the wrong thing. And the bill arrives at a departure gate, far from where the mistake was made.